So welcome everyone. Today we have with us Salah Said from Integrated Dawiyat. He's the head of planning and network engineering, and he's here with us today to talk about the recent changes, AI, what it's going on, and how it affects fixed network, particularly in Saudi Arabia. Salah, really nice to meet you and welcome.
Thank you, Ismail. It's my pleasure to be here in this webinar to share the knowledge and keep up with the latest trends in this domain. Hopefully, the audience will have a fruitful webinar and they will enjoy all the corners that we gonna hit during this.
Sure. Um, so let's start. I'm sure everyone in the audience will be familiar with AI. It's been a lot of developments, and what we keep hearing is that um, the AI factories, if we could call it that way, are expected to generate a lot of traffic, right? Some projections say that in the next 5 years, they could generate as much traffic as the whole internet did in the last 20 years, right? So I would like to understand your perspective on how Saudi Arabia, in particular, could keep pace with this change and factoring the requirements that you as head of planning and network engineering see for from these AI factors, right? In terms of latency, for example.
So let's start from some points that before we answering question. But then I want to give um, uh, like a 360 about this subject, about this question, so we can understand what's going on. If we see the international internet bandwidth currently reached 1,835 terabits per second. So this according to the latest numbers that this is in 2025. That means we are talking an annual growth of 23% year to year. If we take it as an annual growth or compounded annual growth of Gaker, we are talking on top of 4 years, we are talking about 24%. Hyperscalers and private backbones continue to outgrow public internet links, shifting traffic off the open internet. This is from how's the global backbone growth. If we go to the international, the used international bandwidth, uh, more than 6.4 BTB per second in 2024. That mean it is 3 times what we were talking about in 2022. The growth is running more and more on those in the international bank. Keeping in mind as well that the demand of the AI and the electricity, they are saying that on the 2030, the data centers could use as much what Japan country use now. Only the data centers. You can imagine the how the AI is consuming the power as well. The fourth angle is that we talk about is about the latency. Latency expectation is the critical and mandatory in AI. As a human being, we have a sense of latency and the responses for such kind of we call the human perceived instant. The human perceived instant is less than 100 milliseconds. Maintaining that's the reason we need to ensure we are all the time as a response for the full link A to Z and backward, we are less than 100 milliseconds. So the human being, he cannot feel such kind of latency. All those 4 things give us that we need to design terabit-scale optical layers, which is deterministics with deterministic SLAs, making sure that we have the ultra short routes globally, connecting Europe and Far East, Asian, and within KSA as well to ensure we have the route diversity. All that to survive, to maintain what I mentioned earlier, we need to ensure as well the survivability, as well the continuous, seamless surface in mind to absorb more than 30% of the growth of the traffic, keeping uh, interactive AI within human perception threshold and optimal latency ranges. Uh, This is what we are thinking now, what we are building, and what we are planning about. Keeping, as I told you, keeping in mind maybe that if we talk maybe by next quarter, I'm sure there will be different inputs that can do some deviation in the planning of such kind of network. It is so accelerated growth in all those demand generated.
Thank you, Salah. Quite interesting. I would assume that from your role that it's actually quite an enormous but also rewarding task to be building this network in Saudi Arabia. The other day, I was trying to think, with a friend again, discussing about AI and on how it's affecting the actual infrastructure, right? So everyone is aware that you need the sort of GPUs to train the different AI models. So that to me is a bit like the brain. Then those are housed in the big data centers, right? That could be seen as bit of the muscle. But then I was thinking, right, you need to connect those, right? And then you typically need to do that with fiber, which they could be seen as the nervous system, which connects the whole body and makes it work, right? Uh, and I was thinking again, as your role of network planning, right? The latest trends in fiber. What do you think? How do you see fiber evolving in order to support these workloads, right? Which are becoming, as you were mentioning before, right? The growth rates that you were quoting are actually quite impressive, right? So, how does the fiber technology and design keep up with this pace?
Um, this is actually one angle of that if you want talking about now. Okay, if we have the AI will be localized in some places, which are data centers or AI data centers. Okay, how the routes or the channels or all those the, roads between data centers as well from the data centers to the end users. What is the media that we gonna care about here? For sure, the current ones that we're talking about the fiber, but the fiber, uh, if you take it from, let's start from the floor as a physics. Light latency in the fiber, we're talking about 5 microseconds per kilometer. So still, the distance is still dominate end-to-end latency budget. Each links we have a budget for that, and the physics sometimes there is what we call the balance. But we're talking about 5 microsecond per kilometer. If we go to the GPU cluster interconnects today, this is according to NVIDIA, in the H100 up to 900 gigabyte per second, GPU to GPU pair. We are thinking that the next wave is, I see that the next wave is that we call what they call the co-packaged optic silicon photonics. COBU, these developed maps aim to achieve 400 gigabit per second, 800 and 1.6, and beyond per port by mid-decade to reduce the power and latency in the AI fabrics. Other thing is that what I'm seeing that the hollow core fiber HCF trials reporting that now 30 to 33% lower latency compared to the solid core fiber. From our side here in Dawiyat, we are prioritizing evaluating the ultra low G654E fiber versus possibly as well hollow core as I mentioned, focusing as much as we can on latency. That is crucial for the data center to data center corridors. So the GPU fabrics, I'm not waiting on the wide area.
Things, I mean, quite interesting, the new solutions. And who could imagine seeing these advances on fiber? I still remember when Polo Core Fiber was just a bit of an idea that no one could materialize, and now
Mhm.
it's getting
Yeah.
closer and closer to reality, right? Um, Thinking also a bit about uh, the networks that you build, right? Um, There are many things that are happening in the kingdom. We have initiatives on smart cities, autonomous mobility, industrial IoT, right? Quite a few companies picking up industrial IoT, which it requires sort of edge computing, right? We need to move a bit the brain closer to the user because they want to do things quickly, and there are a lot of things that need computing. At the same time, you will have, of course, the hyperscale hubs in the main cities. We could say perhaps Riyadh and Jeddah, and then the big projects that are happening across the kingdom, with perhaps Neom being that flagship project, right? Which effectively takes you a bit of difficult somewhat picture. You have the core sitting somewhere, you have the edge, you need to move all that, connect all that AI ecosystem. So if you could share your thoughts, how do you do that? How do you connect all the uses at the edge with the core in all cities, and how do you prepare the network to do that?
This is a great question, Ismail. The one of the things that I want to highlight here is that there is a terminology now which is so important that we need to focus on, which is uh, the IDC, is the inter data center connectivity. Especially keep in mind the hyperscale data centers or the small edge data centers. At the end, it's all based on the connectivity. Now we have a booming on the processing and the GPUs and the AI and so, but without a nerve system, a right nerve system, that thing will not work. So why resilient inter data center connectivity rings? Uh, if we go to the statistics, I was reading that recently. 54% of operators say their last significant outage cost exceed $100,000. Uh, Approximately one of five of those outages, it was costing $1 million. Resilient data center fiber with fast route is a must. We cannot now do any kind of saving in that area because we will the full data centers and AI technology will not work as we want. Uh, uh, the second thing, if we see that from basic taken from the regional growth, Middle East uh, now ranks among the fastest growing region for international bandwidth. From 2021 to 2025, we have around as a CAGR of 27%. And there's growing demand for east, west, north, south diversity. From Dawiyat side, as one of the biggest operator and the infrastructure provider in Saudi, uh, we are architecting our network, including the national inter-data center, rings, Riyadh, Jeddah, Dammam, and Neom, with uh, subsea terrestrial gateways providing a hitless flavor and keeping in mind it feels like a core experience that AI workloads require.
Yeah, thank you, Salah. It's I find quite interesting, right? That when people talk about AI, we all think about the data centers and the advanced things happening there, and the connectivity is assumed as a must, right? No one thinks about the connectivity a lot, but it's actually an integral part, and it's quite interesting to hear, you know, the actual complexity of all the network that you're building. Actually, the as you were saying, the edge feels like a core, right? People just assume that it's there, and that, you know, you the same way that you open the tap and there is water, that you have the connectivity. But actually, it's you know, quite impressive, how complex sometimes the solutions, or how much you have to think to actually deliver a solution that works always. Um, Moving, thinking a bit about power, right? So we all think, that we've all heard that AI is extremely power hungry, right? So actually, the data centers typically measures in megawatts. It is a lot of power, and now we've heard even in the kingdom, some numbers in the gigawatts, which they sometimes sound even a bit scary, right? So, how can start bringing some aspects, for example, align with the sustainability goals of Vision 2030, right? So, how can a perhaps smarter or a more energy efficient fiber infrastructure help the kingdom balance the growth in data with this sustainability aspect? Given, you know, we are heading to a world in which this is must, and it consumes a lot of power. How can we integrate that with a bit of the sustainability goals that we all want to achieve?
As I mentioned in the first topic, one of the four pillars was about data centers, electricity by 2030 to use the double what we are using currently. If we see the data center industry now, uh, within the next 5 years, it will be doubled. This is according to the forecast and the market trends. For sure, the main driver for that one is the AI. And that also raising the bar for the energy efficient transport. Uh, uh, Going to the network or the AI, actually, the studies as well showed that the fiber environment, fiber network environments, if we can fiberize all the system within the data centers as well within the network, it is more than 3 times efficient than the current hybrid networks, because you know it is hybrid network, fiber here between the data centers going to the first room in the data centers. Sometimes we go up to the copper Ethernet cables. It's like a hybrid, but free fiberizing all that. I think there will be a significant energy efficient saving. Uh, from as well the operation as well. If you reduce the generators, amplifiers uh, on ultra low loss long haul, that will reduce the watts per terabits, and let's use that part, which is the watt from the power versus the terabit per second. This is a good indication. As well, we will enhance uh, the carbon fingerprint that the Vision 2030 is aiming to go with. The kingdom actually it's going to zero on that part. We are here in low. We are targeting optical designs in our network that minimizing regenerators, amplifiers on our sites, aligning our point of presence with next to the renewable sources, which is already now so well known, established in Saudi Arabia, as well trying to publish watt per terabit per second metrics to evidence alignment with Vision 20.
Thank you, Salah. So, it's always interesting to hear about, you know, green initiatives. It's as the energy consumption goes up, it's always important to keep that in mind. Another aspect that I wanted to, you know, to discuss with you and to hear your views is we take a step back. We think about AI typically driven by hyperscalers, right? Which they started in the West, then they started moving a bit, and they are probably trying to find the next big hub, right, for AI and cloud. So thinking about Saudi Arabia, which geographically is in a really good position to serve as a bridge between the East and West. If we lay that geographical position, which is already privileged, and then we think about what Europe and Dawiyat could bring, for example, in terms of that network, um, which role do you see for Saudi Arabia in this ecosystem of perhaps becoming a hub for AI and cloud and linking east to west?
Let me highlight something, Sven, for that, which is the macro connectivity. Global international growth bandwidth continues to go up, as I mentioned, 23% year-to-year in 2025. Middle East's growth is strong, making it a perfect timing to uh, anchor east-west roads within Saudi Arabia. Uh, the traffic ownership as well is not like before. The traffic ownership, there is a big shift. Content providers, hyperscalers now are dominating international capacity and subsea. Uh, CapEx, especially from CapEx perspective, they want a neutral, scalable optical hubs, and this is what is the current market is showing now. KSA as well, digital indicators from Saudi Arabia, when talking about 99 to 100% in terms of integration. Uh, yeah, top tier mobile speeds and national data center capacity reported uh, more than 300 megawatt in 2024, going up to the giga on 2025. From Dawiyat side, as a neutral national wholesaler, we provide carrier and cloud neutral SLA-driven interconnects along with a diverse subsea landing, making KSA the preferred AI transit and hosting point. Dawiyat is a neutral wholesaler. We don't compete with our customers. We empower them. Saudi Arabia sits, as you know, geographically between Europe, Asia, and Africa, given it's a neutral, uh, natural, neutral hub advantage. Dawiyat currently we are visiting on mini links and terrestrial links, submarine cables, um, creating a new corridor, keeping in mind the green energy concept within our data centers. This is what I can say that how can Saudi mm, be a main player in the AI crossroads.
Thank you, Salah. Quite interesting always, to reflect about AI and cloud transit and the role that Saudi Arabia could play. But we've been talking a lot about connectivity, right? And fiber is clearly intrinsic and critical part of connectivity. But we are moving towards something perhaps a bit more intelligent, self-healing, AI-driven networks, right? Or where the network in a way behaves correctly on its own, if we could put it that way. Right? So, how do you think Saudi Arabia could enter into this era of what some people label as like cognitive connectivity, right? In which the SLAs are guaranteed for mission critical AI workloads, and the network in a way, behaves as we all expect.
This topic is booming up in all the conferences about the cognitive connectivity. And the major driver for that is to ensure that we have a guaranteed SLA for traffic, critical traffic, and the critical traffic nowadays, which is called the mission critical AI workloads. But Ismail, let me say that why autonomy matters. Outages are costly, as we have mentioned before. As we have mentioned before, about the percentage, about 54% of from the operators. AI training is a collective heavy process. Fabrics are transition to from 400G to 800G, 1.65 and beyond. As discussed before, with in-network compute to reduce tail latency. This is why autonomy matters. Uh, the second thing is that the latency is the king now. It's not about it's not the traffic anymore or the capacity. The latency is the king, especially with such kind of applications. Even tiny delays change the user perception. As I told you before, once we talk less than 100 millisecond, we, as a human being, perception we will feel it. And this is, as you know, it is important in the AI and especially in the end user. Always when we go to the machine to machine, tiny change in the latency will for sure has a huge impact on the full system. Uh, uh, Although actually, if you SDN plus telemetry driven optical with intent-based routing, network as a service, and particularly for routes to generate AI SLA end-to-end. Here in Dawiyat, we are evolving from passive fiber provider to a cognitive network enabler. We are talking with all our partners to see what is latest state of art in that topic, especially in aim to have a self-healing network. We don't want. We need to make sure that full automation of network rerouting, especially if you're talking about a big network and we at more than 120,000 kilometers of fiber, many data centers, international links, terrestrial and subsea. Such a network, you need that some kind of cognitive smartness or self-healing and network to ensure that SLAs that been provided to the Riyadh still maintained and we are under the threshold all the time. Using the software-defined networking plus AI-based monitoring for real-time rerouting and self-healing. It is thing now it's in the table, but we are when we do that. Offering a network as a service model for the hyperscalers, so they have the full authority and control on that part. To be more realistic, doing a pay-as-you-go for the bandwidth perspective, making sure that we are guaranteeing our SLAs. This all positioning Dawiyat as a partner in innovation, not only just a provider of fiber strands.
Thank you, sir. It's actually quite interesting to hear how do you see that we're yet moving into this cognitive connectivity. As you've said, that big network, it needs to have some of these aspects to ensure that all your customers have the SLAs that they want.